of the Outreach Committee. And as a lot of you already know, because you have been invited here because you already have a relationship with Opportunity International, whether through donation or giving your time or working an event that we might have had so far, or even being on the Outreach Committee. But about 3 years ago, the Outreach Committee decided to form a partnership with Opportunity International. We took a lot of time. We took about 2 years to make this decision. So we didn't take it lightly. We investigated a lot of organizations, and hands down, Opportunity International won our hearts. And we knew that Trinity would love this organization. And so for Lent this year, we launched Opportunity International to the community with our Lenten offering. And tonight, our colleagues from Colombia and from Opportunity, well, they both work for Opportunity International, but one of our colleagues, Brian, is from Colombia, and Lori is here in the Twin Cities. They're going to tell us where our money went, and they're going to tell us a little bit about what's happening in Colombia, kind of giving us the status. So my job tonight is to introduce Lori Olson. Lori, I feel like she's a sister. Like, I feel like I've known her for a couple years, and she's obviously now a colleague of ours, but more so a friend. And together, with her help, she's kind of like the boots on the ground person for Opportunity International for us. She's the person who's going to lead us through this project. She's going to lead us into all the best things that Opportunity has to offer, especially in Colombia. And Lori, I just learned tonight she used to be a stockbroker, which I can't even believe. Because her whole life, as I know her, for 16 years, has been dedicated to Opportunity International. She told us tonight that with her church, she went to Peru 9 times in 3 years, and it changed her life completely. And I know with a lot of us at Trinity, when we have gone to El Salvador or to the mission trips with our children, or whatever kind of travel we've done, those kind of trips change our lives forever. And so Lori has been with International for 16 years now. It changed her life that much. So without further ado, I want to give the mic over to Lori, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about Opportunity International and then introduce Brian. Thanks.
Thank you so much. That was such a kind introduction. I don't know if I deserve that, but I'll take it. Thank you. My name is Lori Olson, and I live in the Twin Cities, south in Prior Lake, born and raised. And yes, as she was saying, I went with my church as a sister church to Peru 9 times. And I remember when I came home from my first trip, my husband said, "Oh, thank God, I thought you'd bring a baby home." And then the tears came, and I knew that my heart was there. And I remember as we were planning our life, the future of our life as a stockbroker, I was just going to take over a bigger business. And when you're in the brokerage business, the business that I was going to take over, the man that I was going to take over for, had been in the business for 30 years. And we had all the contracts signed and everything done. And he said to me, "I have one more question for you before we finalize this deal." And he said, "I don't want to ask you at the office. I want to take you away from the office and want to ask you this question." And so the next day we met for lunch, and he said, "Do you love this job as much as you love the poor?" And that night, I remember going home to my husband and saying, "I have to leave." And 2 weeks later, I was selling my business and moving on to work for Opportunity International. So he picked up the phone, the broker that I was buying the business from, picked up his phone and he called Opportunity International. He said, "This is somebody you have to meet." So he made the introduction to Opportunity, and the rest is history. Opportunity International is the largest Christian microfinance organization in the world, and we are a 50-year-old organization. I know you're not here to listen to me tonight. My dear friend Brian Olarte from Colombia is managing our program, where we started historically 50 years ago. And Brian has been with Opportunity for 10 years now. I've been several trips with Brian, and without further ado, he's going to talk to us about the program tonight. He's going to talk to us about what your money did. Thank you very much for all that you did. And then we're going to leave it open for some questions and answers, if that's okay.
Thank you, Lori. Well, thank you, everybody. Good evening, everybody. It's both an honor, a pleasure, and a blessing to be able to talk to you. And thank you for welcoming me into Trinity Lutheran Church and into your place of worship. Thank you so much. I want to talk to you first about Opportunity International. Then I'll tell you a little bit about Colombia, and then about the work that we do in Colombia. Like Lori said, I've been working for Opportunity International 10 years. Several roles. The most important role I've assumed 5 years ago, which is leading the implementation member of Opportunity International Colombia, which is called Agape. I want to share our vision of Opportunity International. I'm not going to read it all. It's just our vision is to have a world where people can achieve life free from poverty with dignity and with purpose. Our mission, to provide financial services and training so people are empowered to transform their lives, the lives of their families, and the lives of their community. And our motivation, this one I'll read all entirely. We respond to Jesus Christ's call to love and serve the poor. We seek to emulate the good Samaritan, whose compassion crossed ethnic groups and religions. We serve all people regardless religion, race, ethnicity, or gender. And that's exactly what we do around the world. Colombia. Colombia, as you know, is the first country that you will find in the continent of South America. Colombia has 50,000 people, its population. When I first left it in the early 80s, because of the violence, my dad worked for the DEA, and we were forced to leave by a gentleman you know, Mr. Escobar. There was 35 million people. Now we're 50 million people. And the poverty levels in Colombia in 2019 was 35% of the population lived under the poverty threshold, which is $1.90 in today's USAID numbers. Today, it's 42% of the population. That's over 20 million people. 7 million of these 20 million people live under extreme poverty. And those are the people that we focus on. It's got 32 departments, and we focus right now in the Opportunity Zone in 2 departments, but we here at Trinity will focus in 1 city, which is Cartagena. 51% women, and 84% of its territory is agrarian. However, most of the arable land and the land that is cultivated is designated for exports, not for internal consumption. And 99% of the land is privately owned, and it's not owned by the 5 million peasant growers that we have in Colombia. In terms of income distribution, Colombia is the most unequal country in Latin America, and it's 7th in the world. So you have that big gap between the haves and the have-nots. The have-nots are 20 million and more. And I'll tell you, why do I say more? Because out of all these numbers, I would like you to focus on that 48% informal economy. I hope that wasn't me. Informal economy, and 15%, 16% unemployment. So the government doesn't consider that 48% in informal economy as unemployed, although they have no access to services and to the formal economy. They don't pay taxes, therefore they have no way to pay for health care. So if you add those two together, the real unemployment number is above 60%. Informal employment can be selling avocados in the street or selling fish in the street. or selling ice cream out of your house. You know, and by ice cream, I mean flavored water, if you're lucky to have a refrigerator. Because a lot of our businesses are women clients. That's one form of employment. They have a chaza, which is a small store in their house where they sell things like ice cream, things like rice and oil and tuna. And when I say rice, I mean in those communities, they buy a cup of oil so they can cook that day, or a handful of rice if you're going to cook that day. And if they're lucky, they have protein. The economy has been hit hard, like I said. It's got negative GDP, it's got a devaluation of the peso, and the inflation rate is rising. This is what we do, or one of the services that we do in Colombia. This is a village savings and loans associations. We bring together from 13 to 19 people so they can save in a little box. That little box, that's a typical group. I think you've met this, or some of you that saw the virtual Insight trip, you've met this group. This is the Conquistadoras, the conquerors, and they come together. These are 14 to 15 women who come together, and they save in that little box. And when they have enough savings, then they give each other loans. And they do this for 8 months. And then they decide if they want to open a banking account through our financial partners. And then they do this for another 8 months, and we're with them for eight cycles. Additionally to this methodology, which is a financial training of itself, because they learn about savings, they learn about the giving each other credits. They have a credit committee, they have a board of directors, so they're empowered by this methodology. Aside from that, they get a 6-module, I'm sorry, I'm doing something, but they get a 6-module training package from us that talks to them about budgeting, about savings, about loans, the right type of loan, not a consumption loan, a productive loan. They learn about the Colombian financial system because 20% of our clients are Venezuelan refugees, and the rest are either displaced people from the war, because aside from, I forgot the name of the country in Africa, from that country, which is Congo, I believe it's Congo, Colombia has the most internally displaced people, 8 million. We've received in the last couple of years 1.7 million Venezuelan refugees. So we cater to this population, and those are our clients. As you see, all of them are women. 80% of our clients are women. And we help them help themselves. The other 2 modules that they get is in the services that are offered by the Colombian financial system, and an additional module on entrepreneurship. They do a collective entrepreneurship endeavor. They cook, they decide when to cook, where to sell the products, the price that they give these products, and they take the profits from there, and they decide on the next business. So we give them we get their feet wet in entrepreneurship. Because we know that 65 or more than 60% of Colombians have to be entrepreneurs. It's not that they choose to work for themselves, it's that they have to work. They have to do some type of economic activity. So we help them also in that area. That little booklet that you see is the booklet where the register that the register uses to look at the transactions and keep all the accounts. And each one of those clients has a savings booklet. We also work in supporting education. We have a program called EduQuality. We have 49 schools engaged in EduQuality, where they embark in a program that is called Caminos a la Excelencia, Pathways to Excellence. And it's basically an institutional educational plan for the schools that we help them. We have professionals in education in our staff that work with these 49 schools that impact more than 6,000 children. Also, EduFinance, which is the other part of this program, helps microfinance organizations render the right financial services to the school owners, so these finance organizations give loans to schools so they can have another battery of bathrooms, they can have one more classroom, and this school, like you see, it raised its roof. It's very hot in the Caribbean, and the higher the roof, the less hot it is in these classrooms. This picture that you see here talks about, I'm not going to move my head, talks about the inequality of Colombia. The far back that you see is the nice area of Cartagena. Cartagena is a wonderful city in Colombia. It has the walled city. I don't know if any of you have been there. I know Lori has. And most of the hotels are in that area or within the walled city, which are very romantic, beautiful. It's a very romantic and beautiful place to go visit. But the part that you see in the front is the ones that nobody sees, the forgotten ones. It's a 1.5 million population city, and 500,000 live here, 1 million live on this side. And those are our clients. That picture was taken in the Sunflower community, where you saw us or some of you saw us in the Inside virtual trip and the work that we did. The conquerors, the ladies that you just saw sitting around the box, live in that community. They live their living conditions are dirt floors. We help them, and they save up so they can have a concrete floor. They live, their homes are made out of, in the best case scenario, out of pallets from the port on this side of the city. So the people that work in the port sell the wood to our clients, and they make their homes out of these pallets. In this opportunity zone that we want to impact, we have 4.8 million people. 2.2 million live, out of that 4.8 million, 2.2 live under poverty. 657 live under extreme poverty. 724,000 are IDPs or fleeing from violence, flocking to the big cities to form these misery belts that you see in Latin America, not only Colombia. And we have 241,000 Venezuelan refugees living in these cities. They have mixed in the communities. As a personal note, I can tell you that the Sunflower community, the greater Sunflower community, we did a census. It was made out of 9,000 families. It's double that since the pandemic. Venezuelan migrants and people that used to be able to pay a rent and have their rent for a room and have their family live in that room can no longer afford that room. So they've come in and they've chopped. Yes. Is that okay? Can you hear me okay? Thank you. Okay, good. Must be my beard. So 241,000 are Venezuelan refugees. Extreme poverty has doubled since the pandemic, and Cartagena and Barranquilla, mostly Cartagena, has the highest food insecurity of the country. In a city where you find the best cuisine of the country. This is Colombia, and Cartagena is on the top, not the far top, but on this cluster of counties that we want to impact. Right now, we're impacting Cartagena with 3 loan officers, savings and loan officers. Each savings and loan officer can have a workload of 35 groups. Each group can have, like I said before, from 13 to 19 members. So one loan officer can impact. And of course, these savings and loan officers come from those communities. They used to be, in the majority of the cases, clients of us. We have a Venezuelan migrant working in the city of Barranquilla with Venezuelan migrants in Little Caracas. Caracas is the capital of Venezuela. So what are our objectives in these opportunity zones? To increase incomes, create sustainable jobs, provide affordable quality education through our EduQuality program, and of course, entrepreneurship. We want to expand our work so we can achieve synergies between, that wasn't me. We can increase synergy between our programs, basically work in the ag sector and help small growers, and also form savings and loans associations, and also bring EduQuality into these communities. But that's further along. Right now, I'm focusing on Cartagena. Establish new partnerships with financial, local government institutions and other NGOs so we can impact more. Right now, I'm teaching 3 institutions to do savings and loans associations. So we want to increase our impact. So, of course, your donations can have more impact through innovation and more and smarter ways of impacting the same clients, because it's a big job. Who are our clients? Basically women. 80% of our Village Savings and Loans are women. Village Savings and Loans Association are women. 20% are men and children, because of course, being a non-financial product, we have children's group also. And we are forming groups in the schools of EduQuality. So that's how we can bring together our programs, and we're bringing them together. We also want to impact small farmers. That's bringing ag finance into the country. Opportunity International is very successful in giving access to small farmers and giving them technical assistance in better ways to grow, in more efficient ways to grow, and better crops. And we want to bring it in Colombia. Next year we will start this. Of course, migrant refugees, 20% of our client base are Venezuelan refugees, young people, schools and related communities, victims of violence, IDPs of the 60-year war that's going on. Although in 2016 we signed a peace agreement with the oldest guerrilla movement in the world. The peace process, last government signed it, this government is doing all it can to unsign it or to make it go backwards. We want to help entrepreneurship, micro business owners, value chains tied to the small farmers, and like I said, women. So our programs, I forgot to talk to you about the graduation model. It's also another model that we want to bring for the least or the most vulnerable in these communities. And the way that our friends in Haiti shared with us, we're getting that methodology transferred also next year from our friends in Haiti. Go to those communities and find the people that are ashamed to go to worship, ashamed to go to church because they have no shoes. Go look for those people who have no hope and engage them in that program. That program is a 36-month program that for the first 6 months, we feed our clients. We give them a food stipend. Then at the same time, we give them self-worth classes. We give them agency. We give them the ability and the capability to understand that they can be an agency. They are worth something. We give them a small, actually, $1.5 million pesos in seed capital, entrepreneurship training, and then we hold their hand for the next 24 months. And we have several indexes that allow us to graduate them. And one of the most important indexes is their business being successful. Their business can be 2 cattle and 5 goats, like it is in Haiti. Their seed capital and their business. It can be a refrigerator. It can be a cooking supply, so they can cook and they can offer it in their neighborhoods. It can even be a computer and a copier and a camera and access to internet. So they can offer internet cafe in these communities. So that's the graduation model. The savings groups I already spoke to you about. This is where they come in that little box and save and give each other loans. Then EduFinance is support to schools. Ag Finance we want to bring, which is that technical assistance and access to financial services to our small growers. And all of that underlying or the underlying service in our model is microfinance. It all has to do with their ability to have capital, to make capital so they can fund their business and, of course, be sustainable. Other programs that we have the roof and floor technical assistance, which we offer to clients that save up for a home improvement process, and we give them, we hire students in the later stages of architecture so they teach them how to build their homes, how to improve their homes, how to have good cementation, because we've had instances where they build a wall and the wall collapses on top of their children. That's happened. So we want to make sure that they have sound houses, that their roofs are high enough. The biosand filters. We come to the community. Let me give you an example that in the sunflower community. We teach a hardware store owner, I'm laughing because I always say, instead of hardware, I say warehouse. A hardware store owner to build these filters. They know how to mix concrete. We give them the molds, and it's a filter about 1 meter tall, made out of concrete, filled with gravel, 2 layers of 2 different types of gravel, and then a layer of sand. I'm getting everything today. I'm getting a fly too. A layer of 80 centimeters of sand, and this filter can process 60 liters a day, and it has to be fed every day. And what happens is after 30 days, of this liter filter being in their home, it develops a bio layer of pathogens that when the water with bacteria and viruses comes in, these pathogens are predatory. They eat These, we call, when we do the trainings in the community, we call them good pathogens and bad pathogens. They eat the bad pathogens. Whatever is not eaten and gets through this bio layer goes into the sand and gets caught by the sand. Whatever is not caught into the sand dies by asphyxiation in the gravel. And what comes out of this filter is 98% free of viruses and bacteria. You can help us by giving us, by sponsoring a filter. One filter is $50. And most of our clients save up 30,000 pesos, which is $6, and they can have a filter and the technical assistance. We also train installers from that community that go and install the filters. And we train the people that service those filters. It has to be serviced after 15 days if it's installed, after a month that it's installed, and after 3 months that it's installed. For $50, you can do that. You can sponsor one filter that can process 60 liters a day and is placed in a family. We have also placed them in schools, right? Shalom. Shalom is a project that we're doing with Dr. Genso Yamamoto. And Shalom is a community assessment tool that we have developed for churches. If they want to assess a community, we teach them how to go into a community and do surveys. And they ask the community members about the relationship with God, with the relationship with themselves, relationship with their family, relationship with the environment. And from that, then they can choose a series of training packages to impact the community in those dimensions. I also wanted to mention that my goals for the end of this year is to have one team of 5 loan officers in this community of Sunflower in Cartagena and one team in the other city. The salary for each one of these loan officers is $5,000 a year. That's minimum salary in Colombia, in the regular economy. And that's with the Social Security and everything included. One of those salaries impacts at least 525 families. So we can also use your help with that by funding one salary for 1 year. One salary for 1 year, we can impact 525 people for 1 year. $50 impacts one family having safe water, access to water apt for human consumption. And guess how long that filter lasts? Or it can last 30 years. As long as they feed the filter every day, because those good pathogens need food every day. So I'm asking you to ask yourselves how you can support us, what you would like to support. If you would like to support a Village Savings and Loans Association, I would be most grateful. That those are in my heart. As you saw, it's helping our clients help themselves. If you can help us also bring water to our communities, water apt for human consumption, I will also thank you very much, because those 2 areas are areas where these communities have a lot of need. Entrepreneurship, financial access, the ability to help themselves by their own savings and giving loans to each other. They decide how much the interest it is that they charge to each other. They have, like I said, a credit committee. They have a board of directors. So we're empowering communities, and we're giving access to safe water. Those are just 2 of all the programs that I shared with you. And I think I've spoken too much. You have, you have supported us with one savings loan officer for a year, so you've impacted already a group of 525 families, at least. I want to thank you for that.
And more to come. I mean, so just as part of the Easter offering, you guys exceeded your goals in the Easter offering, and I just want to thank you for what you've already done so far. There's always more left to do, but what you've done so far is supported a loan officer from April of 2020 till April, or 2021 till April of 2022. That is your loan officer as a church. You guys have supported everything that she needs or he or she needs to make them successful,
Sure.
pay their salary and everything. You've done, there's several different things we're working on with the savings groups and training and stuff with the money that you've already so generously given. So I want to make sure that you know your money is out there making a difference now. And now we can maybe leave it open for...
Yeah, questions? I wondered about the schools. Who runs the schools?
We run the schools. We have an education specialist that runs the program. But who runs the schools? The school owners in these communities.
Okay.
So they're all the schools that are in these type of communities. We have 20 schools in Barranquilla, 1 in Cartagena, and 20 in Bogotá. Bogotá is the capital city, by the way.
Is Opportunity International just based in South America or all over?
No, madam. We're part of a 5-member support network, if you want to call it like that. We have support members, which is like Opportunity US in the United States, which is Lori and her team, in Canada, in Australia, in Germany, and in the United Kingdom. The United States focuses in Latin America and in Africa. Germany and the UK focus in Africa, and Australia focuses on Asia, Southeast Asia. So we have covered the world, and we have these programs all over the world. We're starting in Colombia to bring these programs.
We're in 48 countries. Currently, several of our countries are education finance countries. We're in 30 countries in a full program.
I did have a question on your education finance. In Colombia or some of these other countries, I realize these are private kind of school entrepreneurs that have started these schools. Is there no access to any kind of a public education, or is it of very poor quality in
Thank you
the
for that
country?
question. Yes, there is access. It's very poor quality, and the government has built mega schools. And these mega schools are understaffed and overpopulated. And most of our communities don't have access to these mega schools because these are squatter communities, as you would understand. So they are not included in the general area of these mega schools. But the mega schools are dangerous, and the quality of the education is low. And the government has institutional educational plans for the mega schools. These private schools in these communities do not have these institutional educational plans, which is what we give them through Pathways to Excellence.
Yeah, looking at your program, there has to be some literacy level to manage. You got him setting up an enterprise and so forth. How do you find the educated ones that are confident, can do math, can write, and so forth? It sounds like literacy is a considerable problem.
Well, actually, Colombia has gone a long way in literacy in the 80s. There used to be a high illiterate population, but now the government claims that it's reached 100% literacy. Although we find our older clients, it's not the case. and they're helped by other group members to get trained. So when we do digital training when we went through the pandemic, we moved to WhatsApp. Are you familiar with WhatsApp? WhatsApp is a messaging service, a free messaging service that's very, very common in Latin America, and I think in Europe. And we do it through videos, and whenever they have to work, they pair up with younger clients that help them in the financial literacy.
The other problem we see in Central America is corruption of the government. Are they bothering you, or do they step out of the way? I know that both.
Well, yeah,
happen.
yes, sir. Thank you for that. Corruption is fairly high. It's high in our country. Let me give you an example. The Minister of Education had to resign a couple of weeks ago because they squandered $7 billion because there was a contract given to one of their cronies, is the right word, to bring internet to the rural schools of the country, and they got rid of that, or they lost that money. So all she did was resign, and the money is not to be found. They actually want to partner with us, the government, and the high-level officials are corrupt, but there are good people working in the ground for the government. So whatever they let pass through, we try to partner with them. There is a mafia that we have to deal with. They don't mess with us too much, and these are the loan sharks. So the drug money comes into the country, and then they have what they call gota a gota, drip by drip payment systems, where these guys in motorcycles go around the neighborhoods and lend money at 20% a month. So when you think about our clients charge each other 3% a month for their loans, for a 4-month loan, that may sound high in the first world, 20% a month. 3.5% a month, 3% a month. But when you compare it to a 20% a month loan from the loan shark, it's not high. And surprisingly enough, the loan sharks don't really mess with us. Yes, sir.
Yeah, they see you and they're like, I don't think so.
No.
So do you have a priority among the initiatives that you showed tonight?
Like I said, I would love to get more support for loan officers, and of course, the water filters are always needed. Right now, I'm implementing my last 50 water filters in the Sunflower community, and 9,000 families times 2, that's 18,000, and I've put maybe 300 filters in the community, so there's a lot of room to work with. They get their water from the canal, which is the Colombia has our own Mississippi River, which is called the Magdalena. It starts in the Andes and it flows and it ends in Barranquilla. It's actually in the map. You can see it if you do Google Maps, and you can look for Barranquilla and see where the one brown water meets the green water. They have diverted that water to go through Cartagena, and that community, the Sunflower community, or the Greater Albornoz community, taps into that water so they drink that water, and that water goes all through the country, and it starts up in Bogota, and all the waste from Bogota and other cities is dumped into that river, and they drink that water. So that's why the filters are so needed. When Lori was there, we went to that community and sat with 70, much like this, our donors, the trip that Lori took, sat with, in our first training session, 70 people for the water filters. And I remember Lori sat next to one of them and showed them how her skin was so bad, full of rash from the water. So we're fighting against that.
Well, I want to say thank you on behalf of my friend Jill and the committee for setting up this night. Food, fellowship, ideas, and a really nice presentation by you, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much for coming.
No, thank you for having me.
Thanks again for your support. We really, really appreciate it.
Mil gracias.
Have a cookie in the narthex afterward. We've got cookies.
We just want to say, I won't use the mic, but thank you again. So you heard a little bit, and we'll be continuing to share and update the congregation on the community that we're helping to support through Opportunity International, the work, maybe we'll have some more Zooms. Everyone loves Zoom, right? No, but Brian is very accessible, so, even it's great that he's here, but we'll be continuing to look for opportunities to learn, grow, and this is a couple-year commitment that we made to this community to expand our outreach. So ask any of us questions, or I'll also send out, I've got the presentation from tonight, so I kind of noted everyone was here, that are all